Well, good morning. It is obnoxiously windy out here this morning, but that's okay. That's the price we pay for it not being minus 40, I guess, and the air hurting our face. We just got to deal with the breeze. We had a bit of a slow start this morning. I worked till it was after midnight when I got finished on the grain shed last night. So I was pretty happy. Charlotte stayed in bed till about 7:30, so we got up. We had a bit of breakfast, relaxed a little bit, had some coffee. Now we're gonna head out and get our chores done. Then we're gonna head over to Bloom Enterprises and get a bag of grain. It won't go in the grain store yet today because I still got some finishing touches to put on that thing, but that bag will be the first bag to go in that shed. As I was mentioning, this is the grain shed. Pretty excited to see that pretty much done in a day. And we also talked about how much waste there was gonna be. So you can see there's a couple of little pieces of cut off plywood, but that's still gonna get used for the finishing touches. Really the only excess we have is some of these little 3-foot cutoffs and some of the 2-foots in the back of the side by side, and that is it. And this stuff we'll still use. So that we got this is rough cut 2x4. We got that from the Emerson Trail Building Supplies. It's only a couple miles from the house. So it was pretty good. We got, the board is a little bit longer. For the roof, I only needed 9 feet. We can't buy 9-foot boards, so I was gonna buy 10-foot boards. So a 10-foot plain 2x4 was $7.40, but a rough cut 12-foot 2x4 was $6.25. So it was a heck of a lot cheaper. And then we've got some excess material to do. I don't know, even if we give it to Charlotte and she just pounds nails into it, it really doesn't do anything. It's still a lot cheaper, and yeah, it reduced the overall cost of this build. All in all, together with all the plywood, the tin, the 2x4s and everything, and the skids, we're probably looking at about $900 to build this. So it's not cheap by any means, but if we were to go to, say, Home Hardware, Building Supplies or something like that, or anywhere the sheds or shelters places, this is probably going to be about $1,500 to $1,600 to build, or to buy one without any of the labor. Came in the chicken house and we noticed on the floor one of the big beams. Well, it's actually one of the roosts. I don't know how, but it got knocked off. So I'm gonna chuck that back up there. I mean, they're not screwed down, right? They're just sitting there. But I think they're heavy enough that the chickens wouldn't knock them off. But there must have been a scrap. So I'll get it tossed up later on today. I'll come in with a drill and I'll just jam a screw up in there. Make sure there's no more shenanigans. You saying hi to the chickens? This big fella here. This is an Australorp cross rooster. It's one of the chicks that we actually hatched out earlier this spring. He's grown into quite a big handsome boy, and he's moved into the chicken house and made himself quite at home here. Okay, so I got Charlotte loaded up in the truck, and I'm just grabbing these big totes to take back to Bloom Enterprises today. Apparently I've been hoarding a bunch. I got like, I think 3 of them that I haven't taken back yet, so I better get those taken back today. And then we'll get some more pig feed. We only had 3. Turns out we actually got 4. So, oh well. Hopefully he forgives me. It was 4. I actually found 5. Wow. It's like a trip to the bottle depot. All right, here. So we just got back from Bloom Enterprise with this big old bag of grain. We've had a few folks asking. Even Robin himself asked, like, how are you gonna get that in that grain shed? So I've been having some thoughts. I've seen him hoist the bag on his tractor, which is quite a bit bigger than the one we have here. And I'm rethinking how we're gonna empty this bag. Initially, I was like, oh, I'll just pick it up at the tractor and then just drain it out the chute. But I'm concerned about the height. Like, I would have to get almost like a crane, I guess, to offload this thing in the shed. So I think I'm gonna build an oversized pallet that I can put on the bale forks. Put the bag on the pallet and then just hoist it up. Then it's only gonna go up 5 feet and not 5 feet plus whatever the height of that bag is. That's a long way up in the air. So I'm back in the shop now. It's like 8 o'clock at night. Carmen just got home from work. Charlotte's off to bed. And it's time to get back at solving the problem, how to get the grain out of the back of the truck and into this shed. So the concern I had was, how do we get the bag up, lift it up that high so that the base of the bag is here, right? And it'll drain to that chute. That's still really, really high. So I was watching some of the chat last week about some folks that use these small grain bins, and they're offloading it with a skid steer, which is even lower than one of these. And thinking like, how can you do this safely? And one person suggested just putting the bag on a pallet and then cutting a hole in the pallet and just draining it into the top of the bin. Thought, well, that might actually work. But we don't have pallet forks. We got bale forks. And so a regular pallet won't work because the bale forks are 48 inches apart, and you need to be about 44 inches apart for a pallet fork. So a regular pallet won't fit on these. So I'm building one here. So I'm gonna build a 6-foot pallet with an 18-inch cutout in the center. And I mean, obviously I've just started this, right? But yeah, so the chute of the bag will go down through the hole. We'll be able to lift it up on the tractor. I'll be able to untie the knot here, and it will then drain into the hatch, which we'll have another extended chute, a removable extended chute that comes out specifically for that task. But I'm excited. I think we got an idea. I think it's gonna work. Fingers crossed, but that's the plan for the season. All right, so it is done. There it is, the big pallet. I'm pretty sure it's the most heavy-duty pallet ever constructed in the world. In fact, there's probably somewhere a pallet factory in New Jersey, somebody's just losing their mind because this is the pallet to end all pallets. In fact, it's so heavy-duty that I think when I drop it off the tractor, I'm probably gonna set it on another pallet because it's just, like, it's not something you can pack around, right? But I don't want to set it on the ground to rot, obviously. And I don't want it pressure treated because I don't, obviously it's touching our animal feed and everything like that. So I'll probably just find another hardwood pallet and I'll set it up off on top of the ground. So yeah, that'll be the plan. Next part of the plan, I'm actually gonna build another one of these hatches on the other side. But I gotta figure out a way to build a chute to get it there, right? And even if I get a chute in here and I get the bag over top and I pull that string, I'm dependent entirely on gravity and no wind in order to get the grain out of the bag and into that chute. So when I was over at Bloom Enterprises today, I had a look at what Robin uses to fill his feed bags, and it got me thinking. So we have this chunk of 4-inch, this is just 4-inch, I think it's PVC sewer pipe, low pressure sewer pipe. It's left over from when we built the house. Hello, hello, hello. And yeah, I'm just gonna put a hose clamp around this on the base of the bag and then undo the upper knot. And it should be able to drain right in there without really any chute at all. This should solve all the world's problems, just like that. All right, so this is the next cutout I gotta do right here. And I've already done one on the other side, as you've seen. It took me like 30 to 40 minutes yesterday to work on that, partially because it was like already after midnight and I was like done and just couldn't think straight. And well, yeah, and the trickle down effect from that is just not doing it, efficiently. So the struggle I really had was attaching the hinges and then attaching the deadbolt at the top while this was cut out. So of course, with what little sleep I did get, I managed to lay awake and think about how I could possibly do that more efficiently. So what I did is I just cut the bottom line and the top line. I left the sides attached. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and throw on the deadbolt, throw on the hinges, and then when they're in place, I'll just make these 2 cuts, pop it out, Bob's your uncle, it'll be done. All right, so there you go. That took like, well, less than 4 or 5 minutes maybe. And yeah, fantastic. Same setup as the other side, boom, boom. I'll put some stoppers on here and it'll be a wrap. All right, so it's now 11 o'clock at night. I think I'm done for the night. I got the door's all done. You can actually close it. It's got a real actual doorknob. The door comes with 2 holes, so I'll have to find a plug for here If I even found an old doorknob that would work, have like a second doorknob, trick doorknob, haha. But no, that would be weird. Anyways, excited the door's on. Tomorrow this thing's gonna get drug out and then put in beside the shop. And I think Tuesday, when Carmen's on long change, we're gonna rig up the pallet, put the bag on the pallet, sorry, and then offload it into here. And I just, fingers crossed the walls don't just like burst and shoot out and we have grain all over the ground. I don't think that'll happen, but I mean, crazier things could happen. So we'll be sure to film that. Anyhow, for as much as I'd love to stay and chat, I do need to get a cup of tea in me and then head off to bed. Tomorrow is probably gonna be another early day. So I'll let you go for now. I hope you have a fantastic evening. We'll see you tomorrow.